Hi everyone, welcome back to St. Joseph's Corner channel and our new series, Sacred Spaces. It's me again, Mary, as your host for this series. More than 10 million people visit this basilica every single year, making it the most visited Marian shrine in the entire world. It's home to a miraculous image of the Virgin Mary imprinted on the cloak of a peasant more than 400 years ago. And to this day, scientists have no idea how the image got there or how it's still surviving. I'm excited to share the history, architecture, relics, and beauty of this incredible place with you today. Let's dive in. The Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe is located in Mexico City and was built to enclose the site where the Virgin Mary appeared to a native peasant named Saint Juan Diego in 1531. She requested that he build a church in her honor on the hill of Tepeyac, where an indigenous tribe once practiced pagan rituals. But Juan Diego was a simple man who, according to tradition, had just finished his morning mass and was on his way to receive the Eucharist for the day when he heard beautiful singing and saw a radiant woman standing on top of Tepeyac Hill. He approached her and introduced himself, to which she replied, "Juan Diego, my son, I am the Virgin Mary, Mother of the true God, and I wish you to build me a temple here." Then she explained that the indigenous people were in great need of God, and she wanted them to know that she was there to intercede for their salvation. As proof of her identity, Mary asked Juan Diego to gather roses on the barren hilltop to present to his bishop. But when he reached up to pick the flowers, he found them growing out of a rock in full bloom. He gathered the bouquet and presented it to Bishop Jugo de Zaret, who noticed that the roses were not from any earthly garden. Overjoyed, the bishop immediately recognized the Virgin's message and set out to build the church on Tepeyac Hill. But when he arrived at the top, he found Juan Diego sitting on a nearby stone in prayer. As the bishop approached him, he noticed that Juan Diego's coarse woolen cloak had blossomed into a rich brocade, and the image of the Virgin Mary was imprinted on it. This became known as the Tilma, and it remains a sacred relic of the church today. To this very day, the image has never faded nor suffered any damage. It was officially declared incorruptible by Pope Pius XII in 1946. And scientists have been baffled by its preservation for almost 500 years. To learn more about the Tilma and see why scientists are still stumped by it today, check out our video. The Miraculous Tilma. Located at the foot of Tepeyac Hill, the shrine to the Virgin is quite far away from the city of town. From the posh neighborhood of Polanco, it was a solid 45-minute Uber ride through the city's expressway. It was the first time we realized just how enormous this metropolis is. We were dropped off just at the back of the main cathedral. If you have not seen the picture of the church, you are bound to be surprised by the modern tent-like structure. The conical-shaped roof certainly does not invoke the image of a religious sanctuary. Instead, it is reminiscent of Tokyo's Yoyogi National Gymnasium. Though the style of the building may seem like a disappointment for most, it is nonetheless a remarkably functional piece of architecture. Measuring 330 feet in diameter, the modern basilica was inaugurated in 1976 to take over the important role of custodian of the venerated image. The modern design allows all worshippers an unobstructed view of the holy image. Lining the building are full-height doors, which could be opened to allow additional pilgrims to attend the Mass from the adjacent public plaza. The original basilica, which still stands next to it, has been declared structurally unsound because of the extreme level of subsidence from certain angles. The old basilica appears to be on the brink of collapse. Interestingly, the old basilica is still open for Mass at a designated time, but is otherwise closed for pilgrims. And like other major pilgrimage sites elsewhere, the sanctity of its original landscape has been transformed into an efficient machine for funneling pilgrims around. The public plaza in front is immense. I have read somewhere that the 1999 Papal Mass held here by Pope John Paul II was attended by 250,000 faithful. The vast plaza reminds me of the setup at the Sanctuary of Fatima in Portugal. Like at Fatima, the open space is featureless by nature to accommodate the mass of visitors. Aside from a Christmas tree and a manger scene, This place lacks the charm you expect. But unlike the Vatican's St. Peter's Square, there is no religious statue or fountain on the square of this wide-open plaza. Of course, no visit to the site should not go without a visit to the actual tilma itself. And unlike many Catholic relics in Europe, it was not hidden behind the altar inside some reliquary. Even though the image itself is not massive, the display and the architecture made tilma a focal point no matter where we stood. As an architect, I learned a lot in school about the evolution of Christian churches since Roman times. One particular aspect of church architecture is the special attention paid to accommodating large numbers of pilgrims. The standard Latin cross plan that we associated with Catholic churches seemed from the desire to separate worshippers from the pilgrim traffic. Just outside the Basilica, visitors can explore Tepeyac Hill and a series of 5 chapels that depict scenes from the Virgin's life. The area surrounding the Basilica is also known for its beautiful gardens dotted with statues depicting the apparition to Juan Diego. As the world's most popular Catholic pilgrimage site, this place is about maximum efficiency. The entire complex is immense and comprises over a dozen structures of various sizes, ages, and importance. However, I do have to say that my favorite was a little stand at the side of the cathedral. From where a priest in sunglasses threw ladles of holy water over a long throng of pilgrims. It is just so different from the typical Catholic ceremony that I was used to. As mentioned, the vast Basilica complex comprises more than a dozen separate structures. To get a full experience, spending a couple of hours here to explore is worthwhile. Compared to Fatima, the atmosphere here is decidedly festive and family-oriented. Beyond the public plaza, the back of the complex is set up as a landscaped park. In a typical Mexican fashion, plenty of vendors sold everything from rosaries to grilled corn. There were also various photo booths with props and costumes for visiting families. This was a great place for young families to spend an afternoon. One of the most interesting buildings was the old Indian parish Antigua Parroquia de Indios. Completed in 1650, it was among the oldest structures in the complex. Judging from the severity of subsidence, the building's age was quite self-evident for over a century. The original banner of Guadalupe of Ignacio Allende was kept inside before being transferred to a museum for safekeeping. But the sacristy on the altar's right side made this church particularly popular among pilgrims. Preserved are the foundations of the first 2 hermitages built at the site of Tepeyac Hill to fulfill the wish of the Virgin of Guadalupe. Allegedly, this was where Juan Diego resided during his last years. Steps away from the old Indian parish would be the so-called Pocito Chapel Capilla del Pocito. The oval-shaped chapel houses a natural sulfur spring at the foot of Tepeyac Hill. As you would expect, there are plenty of legends of miracles connected to this spot. While interestingly, the main draw for me is its fantastic architecture. Laid out in an oval form, the chapel is one classic example of Baroque architecture. Many historians regard this as the most innovative Baroque building in the New World, from an architect's perspective. I could certainly see the influence of Francesco Borromini and Gian Lorenzo Bernini here. Just past the Pocito Chapel, we came across beautiful ponds with fountains at the foot of the hill. On the hill is a full-size sculptural group recreating the scene of apparitions. I imagine it is useful for speaking to young children about supernatural events. A stairway from the fountain leads visitors to the top of Tepeyac Hill. At the summit is the Chapel of the Little Hill of the Angels Capilla del Cerrito de Los Angeles. At this very spot, Juan Diego allegedly collected roses at the instruction of the Virgin Mary. So you could argue this is the holiest site in the entire complex. Before we started our tour of the complex, it was worthwhile to take my time to learn about the history of the Our Lady of Guadalupe. On the American continent, Marian devotion is frequently centered around the figure of our Blessed Mother, as she appeared in December of 1531 to the Native American Saint Juan Diego at Tepeyac Hill, in the area of modern-day Mexico City. Our Blessed Mother actually appeared 4 times to Saint Juan Diego and once to his dying elderly uncle, Juan Bernardino. The 4th appearance to Saint Juan Diego was the most wonderful, A brief account of the apparitions will help to appreciate better God the Father's purpose in sending the Blessed Mother to the American continent at Tepeyac and the important meaning of devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe. The first apparition took place on December 9th, which at that time was the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception in the Spanish Empire, of which Mexico was then a part. Our Blessed Mother appeared to Saint Juan Diego, an older Native American who had recently lost his dear wife. Juan Diego himself died in 1548, 17 years after the apparitions, at the age of 74, on May 6, 1990. Pope Saint John Paul II, during his second pilgrimage as Pope to the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe, declared Juan Diego blessed. Pope Saint John Paul II later canonized Juan Diego on July 31, 2002. Our Lady of Guadalupe is the patroness of the Americas, the unborn, and all of Mexico. It's a powerful symbol of unity for Catholics around the world as they come together in prayer on her feast day each December. The journey to the Basilica on December is considered one of the largest religious pilgrimages in the world. Millions of people travel from all over Mexico and beyond to participate in masses, processions, and other festivities held in her honor. The history, architecture, and relics of this basilica tell a powerful story of faith and devotion. And it's easy to see why Our Lady of Guadalupe is revered by so many. Whether you're a longtime Catholic or simply curious about this incredible place, we hope you've enjoyed learning more about it through this episode of Sacred Spaces. Before you go, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more videos about faith, history, and culture from around the world. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.